thrill of the chase. Deep in a forest covered in snow, two captives make their way through the bushes. A nobleman named Rio. His golden embroidered tabard has been torn, with chunks hanging off of it. Behind him, dressed in a dirty butler outfit, is an elderly man, clearly too tired to keep going.
You've worked with them for years. You must know how they hunt. We can use that against them.
I worked as their butler. I never went out on a hunt.
Is there anything you can tell me?
No one has ever made it across the line. Might as well give up now. Best not to give them the satisfaction.
You're just going to lie down and die.
The butler sits down in the snow, accepting his fate.
Fine. Be like that.
Rio does his best to march forward in the snow.
You're wasting your breath.
Oxygen's wasted on you.
After a few minutes, Rio comes across a flowing river with several old rotting logs forming a bridge across.
This could work.
The butler looks up as the daughter Rose walks toward him holding a bow. Despite her innocent face, he knows better than to trust her. Unlike the butler, she is dressed for the cold. A fur cloak hangs from her shoulders with the hood up. The cloak allows her arms access to the bow, while the quiver hangs from her hip.
Why aren't you running?
What's the point?
Oh, it's more fun when you run.
Not for me.
Oh, well, if you're going to be like that.
In the blink of an eye, Rose fires an arrow at the butler.
Ah!
The arrow lands directly in his right foot. Fresh blood starts flowing out, staining the snow.
If we're not going to have fun, then I'm sure the wolves will.
Rose starts following Rio's tracks, leaving the butler behind.
Please, not like this.
Rose turns around with a sinister smile.
Not like what? Oh, the wolves ripping you apart, eating chunks of your flesh. Still being alive as you watch.
I looked after you all these years, ever since you were a child.
Thank you. I'm glad I caught you on this hunt.
Rose continues following Rio's tracks in the snow.
Please.
Rio is holding onto a log, facing the direction he just came, hands gripping on a clump of moss. Getting back to his feet, he turns around, making his way to a large rock protruding out of the flowing river.
Oh, over there! I see him.
Rio looks up, seeing Karlach with Fluke and Helena arriving at the edge of the river. Karlach being a portly man, Fluke being a scrawny boy, and Helena a shape in between.
Great. He heard you. You're meant to remain silent during a hunt.
Don't worry, he's got nowhere to run.
I get first shot.
Helena reveals she's carrying a crossbow and fires it towards Rio, only for the bolt to hit the rock and rebound into the river. Gregor, a massive, fierce man, arrives in time to see Helena miss her shot.
Why are you wasting a bolt?
Gregor draws his curved sword and starts making his way across the logs. Rio reaches into the water and pulls out a rock, throwing it towards Karlach, hitting him in the temple, causing a speck of blood.
Ah! That bloody hurt, Gregor! He's mine!
Karlach starts climbing onto the first log, following Gregor, hoping to get the kill.
Helena, are you really going to give the kill away?
Helena reloads her crossbow and aims. Just as she fires, Fluke pushes the crossbow up, sending the bolt flying away into the distance.
Father and Karlach are out there. If you want to kill him, go out with them.
Fine.
Helena follows the two men. Rose arrives as Gregor and Karlach start crossing the final log onto the rock that Rio is holding onto.
Why doesn't he continue across the river?
As Gregor's foot lands on the moss, it keeps falling into the rotten log. With his arms wrapped around the rock, Rio uses his legs to push the log over. Losing his balance, Karlach splashes into the river and is carried down towards the waterfall. With his leg trapped, Gregor is forced under the water. While everyone is in shock, Rio starts making his way across the next log, hoping to reach the other side of the river. Rose draws her bow and fires a shot, hitting Rio in the leg, causing him, in turn, to fall into the river and be carried toward the waterfall. Rose and Fluke finally manage to drag their father's body out of the river. Too long forced under the water, he has stopped breathing.
Father?
Oh, he's gone, Fluke.
What about Karlach?
He went over the edge, just like Rio.
Well, what shall we do now?
We take his body back.
I wasn't talking to you. With Gregor dead, Fluke here is now Sir Royal.
Me?
What?
Sons inherit before daughters. You may be older, but Fluke here is in charge.
Rose glances at Fluke, seeing his scrawny body with dangling limbs. Even after all the hunts, he still never gained any muscles.
He is in charge of your family's estate.
I have to make all the decisions?
Don't worry, brother. I'll spare you the mercy.
In one swift motion, Rose sends an arrow directly into Fluke's heart, killing him instantly.
What did you do?
Looks like it's inherited to me.
You will pay for your sins!
Rose grabs an arrow out of a quiver and shoots it directly into Helena's throat. As she falls to the ground, she gasps for air while blood bursts out of the wound.
My sin dies with you.
Help! Somebody help me!
At the base of the waterfall, Karlach crawls onto the shore, covered in blood. He lies on his back, too injured to move. From out of the water, Rio emerges. He limps with the arrow still in his leg, his left arm dislocated and fresh blood filling his mouth.
Rio! Oh, thank God you're here. I need you to carry me back to the top. We need to get me to a healer. They'll have someone at the manor. The cold water. I need to be placed in front of a fire.
You really expect me to help you?
Don't you know who I am?
Rio picks up a rock.
You're Karlach. Simply Karlach.
Rio falls onto his knees, splashing in the water and repeatedly smashing the rock against Karlach's skull. Too tired, Rio falls backwards into the river and lets the current carry him away.
Thanks for watching. We've got a Patreon, which is perfect if you want to support the channel. With Patreon, we hope to move on to bigger projects. Other ways to support the channel is by subscribing and sharing. We'll see you next time.